I know what I want to send with you. An understanding of how good you are, and patience and confidence and a real trust in the Buddha. It's been really nice to have this time together. And last night when we decided how we were going to do this today, and I was thinking about this, what kind of instructions and encouragement I might be able to give you. I was remembering some of the words that the Buddha said to his stepmother Mahapajapati when she was a bhikkhuni, according to tradition, the first bhikkhuni, the first one to be ordained. We have an image of her up here on the shrine of imagining what she might have looked like. Who knows? And like many of the Buddha's disciples, there was a point when she came to the Buddha and she asked for a teaching in brief, which means, can you basically give me some instructions and I'll go and meditate and practice and make use of those instructions to the best of my ability. And I thought, wow, wouldn't those be nice instructions for you to take home? You're going maybe not to your meditation hut, but you're going back to your life, and really maybe the most important thing you can take with you is the encouragement and the determination to make every aspect of your life practice. You know, when the first day we were here, and I remember I asked Santussikā saying when we were ending a meditation period, and she said, you know, don't get up thinking now I'm ending my practice and go on to the next thing, but think that this too is my practice, and whatever else I'm doing is my practice. You know, walking over to the restroom or down to eat, or, you know, taking care of your room or going for a walk or whatever it is. And you can do that in your life. The practice doesn't end here. It's part of everything. And I like these instructions that the Buddha gave to Venerable Mahapajapati, because I think these are some that we can take into our daily life, into every aspect of our life. And what he said is, there are things which you might know, things that lead, and then he gives eight pairs. And this is what, these things that lead to passion, not to dispassion. Things that lead to bondage, not to detachment. Things that lead to accumulating, not to dispersing. Things that lead to more desires and not to fewer desires. Things that lead to discontent, not to contentment. Things that lead to company, not to solitude. Things that lead to laziness, not to energy. And things that lead to being high maintenance, not to being low maintenance. So, what are you going to do when you go home? Can you recognize things that lead to passion and not dispassion? And maybe that one needs a little explanation. Because I had a friend of mine, she went with me to Thailand, and she's not Buddhist, but we were in the ministry school together and seminary together, and my turn towards Buddhism more and more was interesting to her, and she came with me once. And she said, but I want passion in my life. And we were talking with Ajahn Pasano, and he said, she can have passion in her life, and all the dukkha that comes with it. So, it's really talking about that, that kind of passion that does lead to dukkha. But of course, we also see an encouragement in the Dhamma to have enthusiasm, to love, without attachment. So this is talking to the kind of passion that leads to more attachment rather than less attachment. When we have the kind of enthusiasm, caring, love that leads to less attachment, it leads to unconditioned love. So that's the encouragement. And you might be able to think of things that lead to bondage, like they really restrict you in ways that are, and again, leading to more attachment. I think in our culture, this one on accumulating is really a hazard. It's so easy for things to collect in our particular society. It's so hard to let them go or even find appropriate places for them to go. Noticing these things. What leads to fewer desires or more desires? And the practice of contentment is actually something that we can put into effect anytime. We can find ourselves discontent in any moment and then ask ourselves why. Can I be content? It's really related to that turning towards and facing whatever is happening. Because contentment isn't really about the external conditions. It's about the internal stability of the mind. Some of you asked me, I don't know what my name means. It means contentment. So of course they give you these names so that you have something to work towards. And the person who gave me this name said to me, contentment is another way of thinking of nibbana, complete freedom from suffering. You take that all the way to the end. So, this is something that we all have available. Whenever we feel discontented or disturbed, and really looking at why do I feel this way? Can I be with this feeling? Can I be with this discontented feeling with an attitude of contentment? Letting it be. It's that idea of, stepping back to that position of stability, observing. That part's content. In your life, this next one about company, or there's different translations. One translation, the translator used the word crowding, or, being around a lot of people. We can't always control that. Even in the monastic life, it might not be easy to have physical solitude sometimes. But we can always find mental solitude. The chitta viveka, viveka is solitude and the chitta is the mind. How can we establish solitude of the mind? Part of it is being aware of what it is that we take in that affects us. And is that affecting us in the right direction, or is it creating more agitation? We don't have to take it all in to the heart, Someone is talking to us and maybe it's directly something about us, some kind of criticism. That's one of the ways we really take it in to the heart. But you don't have to. You can just set it over here on your shoulder. It doesn't have to go in here. Or anything else, whatever we're hearing, seeing, tasting, touching, smelling, even the thoughts that pop into our mind. We don't have to take them into our heart. We can hold them a little to the side or out here in front and see them as objects and make decisions about what we want to take in. Take in the good, take in the encouraging, take in the Dhamma, and the things that are not Dhamma, can let it go. And these practices are really, this is for the world, this is for your life in all situations. All of these things. And of course, we all know about the difference between laziness and energy, and the things that lead one way or the other. This last one about being high maintenance or low maintenance. It's good to reflect on that, like what can I do to take care of myself in a good way and be not have so many requirements of the world or of others. It's not meaning to deprive yourself of something that's important or useful, but it's about being conscientious, and it ties into some of the things Santussikā's been saying about how we live on the planet. How can we be low maintenance? It's another really big theme in the monastic life. The Buddha said we should be easy to look after. And we have all these rules that require that we're looked after. We can't even cook, buy our own food or, grow it or anything without lay people being there to offer it and support us, along with everything else, clothing, medicine. And sometimes when people are in situations where there's a lot of support, a lot of people with faith, they can fall into, feeling entitled, even as a monastic. So it's something to really observe, how to be low maintenance. sometimes having these rules, like we have to finish eating by 1 o'clock on daylight savings time, 12 o'clock, otherwise. We're going to be demanding about people showing up with the offerings in time for you to have dessert, to be low maintenance. How do you hold the rules and be low maintenance? So this is also important in lay life, in everyone's life. Just something to think about. And that all of these things are freeing. So as in many suttas, in this case, the Buddha will go through that list the way I did, starting with the negative. And then he turns it around. He said, you should definitely recognize, first, the important clincher. He goes through all of them from these things lead to this negative thing versus this positive thing. And then he said, you should definitely recognize this is not the Dhamma. This is not the discipline. This is not the teacher's instructions. And then he goes the other direction. But Gautami, this is his stepmom's family name. Those things of which you might know, these things lead to dispassion and not to passion. These things lead to detachment, not to bondage. These things lead to dispersing, not to accumulating. These things lead to fewer desires and not to more desires. These things lead to contentment, not to discontent. These things lead to solitude, not to company. These things lead to energy, not to laziness. These things lead to being low maintenance, not high maintenance. And you should definitely recognize this is the Dhamma, this is the discipline, this is the teacher's instructions. You can feel it in the body. And we can do this. Choices we make every day. Just to kind of keep this in mind and see what the results are. Because it's freeing. We can be lighter, happier, and we can see how we live the practice all the time. And it makes a difference on your meditation practice too. If we have this kind of ongoing attitude and reflection on these kinds of things. Because then when you sit to meditate, certainly that's an important thing to do, but it doesn't have such a sharp distinction from everything else you do. It's in the same flow. And you might, be thinking of things that are going to be really challenging as you go back. And that's the most important place to bring in some of these ways of thinking and ways of responding. It's kind of amazing, the whole path, all of the Buddha's instructions, these and all the rest of them that he gave, are all about freeing us and bringing us into more joy, happiness, peace, and love. regardless of what's happening around us, regardless of what's happening to the world or to the people, or even to our own body. So that's what I'd like to leave you with. And if you want to see this sutta again, I'm going to just put it on the bulletin board as I leave, and you can... Did you ever get your phones back? Will you get your phones back? We don't have to keep them, do we? Anyway, you might want to take a picture or a look at it. And now I think we're gonna go on to taking the precepts that will support you in this lifelong practice.